cmpradio.net. It's the station.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to cmpradio.net, the voice of Chester. Welcome to the wonderful world of Rich Blye, coming to you live 7 p.m. every Monday. Sorry for the late start, but, a couple things going on. And you know how traffic is and all the other good stuff, blah, 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 blah. I do apologize for my tardiness. How's everybody doing tonight? Hold on. How is everybody doing? How was your weekend? Did everyone enjoy the festivities of sport and revelry and fun and all of that other good stuff that comes with being alive in this country that we call America? Because I sure did see a lot of people enjoying themselves this weekend, bro. I really, really did. And I enjoyed it myself, too. Absolutely. Hey, listen, I want to talk about that, and I'm really going to get into that. As a matter of fact, let me get into that first. Here at cmpradio.net, we put ourselves at the forefront of what happens in our community with the positivity, with the maturity, and with the, acumen to come in and be a positive force for change. And nonetheless, people have to let their hair down and enjoy themselves at the same time. It shouldn't be as rigid. And I want to tell you, that R&B over at Harris by DJ Jabri, oh, man, come on, bro. Listen, I want to do that again. And I'm going to tell you something, folks. Everybody knows I don't go out like that, and my bedtime is normally 11 o'clock. I promise you. If I'm outside, I'm outside. I'm not one of those guys that's outside a lot, but when I'm outside, I'm outside. It's usually at my American Legion or something like that or whatever, or if I'm visiting with friends or family. But I had the distinct pleasure of working the door for this amazing event on Saturday. And, not just because it was, something that was done in conjunction with cmpradio.net and, with Jean Pierre and everybody that was involved. I got to see Chester in a different light, in a different setting. People enjoying themselves in a different way. I saw a lot of positivity along with, a lot of great looking people that came through there, the men and the women that came through there. And overall, if you give an event like that with over 250 people that walked in that door, you would think that you would come out with some type of fight or some type of, bad argument or something like that. And I stayed throughout the whole event from like about, 9 to 1? 1:15.
It was there for a minute. I appreciate that.
Oh no, listen, man. It was.
I got something for you too.
Listen, bro. You said I need you.
Right.
That's all I saw in the text.
Right.
I got out of the second event that I was at for the day, the accountability dinner.
And that was good too.
Oh man, that was great. Listen, listen. I'm really. People need to understand something, and I want to say this very, very much. I enjoy my time in Chester.
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't? That's what I keep trying to tell people. That's what I keep trying to tell people. I was supportive. Mm-hmm. I was engaging. Mm-hmm. You know,
and you were supported, and you were engaged.
And I was supported. People engaged me. Right. Like it was beautiful. Right. You know, I got to see people like, you know, State Rep Carol Kazim. I got to talk to her for a minute. I haven't seen her in a minute. Hey, what's up, Carol? You know what I mean? I got to chat with Mayor Roots and say what's up. You know what I mean? Saw Corey Long there, said what's up to him, what's going on. You know, along with Dakeem Williams, along with Jameer, you know, the boy, you know, I got that journalism. I'm not a journalist, but, you know, he put together a really good program that I think Chester should be very proud of and that you should expand. I think a dinner town hall was absolutely needed, necessary, and gave Chester residents that attended a very good feeling about the overall direction of your current leadership. I'm going to segue back into, you know, what we did at Harrisburg, but I really did want to go there first. Your current leadership, in my humble opinion, in all of the years that I've lived, you know, grew up in Philly, lived in Upper Darby, and all of my travels through Delco and hearing people talk and disparage Chester as just the wasteland and it's the place you go to die and, you know, you're going to get shot if you go to Chester. And I've been coming to Chester for years and ain't nobody shoot at me, bro. For years. And listen, nobody has shot at me.
I've been in the streets.
Okay, and I've been in the streets of Chester, bro.
I mean, like literally, and nobody ever shot at me either.
Listen,
I'm not gonna say nobody ever shot.
I know there's been shootings, and I know I've heard shootings, and I've been here when I've heard shootings. But what I'm saying is
if
that
you're looking for trouble, you get trouble.
That's pretty much the way I see it.
What it is.
That's what. Listen, you on curling. You know what I mean? You on third. You know what I mean? Like, I listen, I know the spots, you Sun Village, you know what I mean? The Bennett, you know, listen, you get what you're looking for. That's just common sense. And I know common sense is not common, but I've been in these places at one time or another, you know, invited in certain places, escorted, you know what I mean? Because it's still not sweet like that. You know, there's still certain protocols you have to follow here in Chester. But overall, whenever I come to Chester, I always have a good time. I cannot say not one time since I've been coming here, especially the past couple years, that I've ever been met with any people that has disparaged me or made me feel uncomfortable or, you know, didn't talk to me or didn't offer a plate of food or, you know, I forget the woman's name that I was sitting next to. And forgive me, but I want to shout this woman out. They had the dinner there. And I had stepped off for a minute, and I was talking to other people in the building. I hadn't completed my dinner. This nice lady wrapped my food up. Like, I left it uncovered. You know, I'm not listen, you know me, I ain't thinking about, you know, but she thought enough about me, about herself, and what position would she be in. And she doesn't know me. She literally put a napkin across my plate and everything like that. And, you know, it's like, she's like, I covered up your plate and everything. Like, I'm looking at this like, wow. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't do it for any particular reason. It's just the way people are raised and the character of that. So I felt comfortable being there. Again, shout out to Jameer Caldwell for putting together an event that was absolutely great, absolutely necessary, something the community needs because, again, the youth need to know that they're engaged, that they understand how their tax money is being spent. They need to understand that the projects that Mayor Roots talked about, that he said openly that streets are about to get paved, lights are about to get lit. You know, certain things happens when you're in a bankrupt city that has been bankrupted by prior administrations not handling the business the right way. and thinking about themselves, because when you inherit a broken house, you got to start with the windows.
The house has been broken since 1979.
Yeah, listen,
The
again.
house has been broken
Again,
since 1979.
so I'm gonna say this again. Watch this. That yes, the house has been broken since the 70s, but anybody coming aboard, tell me how people have felt about the direction from previous leadership till now.
So if everything's gone, if everything's rutted, and you coming into a system where there's no accountability, and that's why he had the accountability dinner.
Yeah.
I applaud him for that. Right, super. That was a super dope situation. The first one I was going to,
Right.
but then the bomb went off.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
feel me?
yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
he said March 20. I said, damn.
Right.
You feel me? Because I had a
Because
lot
you can't be two places at once with everything. You had a full day too.
I be trying. I really do. You feel me? But I be having a lot to do. We had Project Engage in the morning. You feel me? Then I had my daughter for a little bit.
Right.
I had to drop her off to my other daughter. You feel me? And then I had the party.
Yeah.
And the party was a all day preparation.
Listen,
everything straight,
for something that scale with the amount of equipment that was involved, all of the moving parts. I mean, like,
I was thinking about doing a whole show from there. So that front room was going to be us sitting there talking about the concert. You know.
Oh man, we should have did it.
How long? But it was a lot of.
Yeah, I know it was a lot.
And I be trying to relieve myself of all that comes with doing everything. Right. This is a radio station. It take multiple hands to get things done.
Absolutely.
I just need people that say I'm available to help. You feel me? I need people that.
Well, I already told you, P. I already said when you sent me the text and said I need you.
Right, but that was more of a security. I needed you because if I would have went live, I would have been talking. I wouldn't have been able to be at the front, and I wanted you up front with the ladies.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Protection.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you like this. I was up front with the ladies for like the first 2 hours,
right.
But then I knew that I had to extend my aura a little bit to the front,
right.
So that way when it got to the table, it was already copacetic,
right.
And it just presented itself that way. The guy who was the banquet manager, he saw that too and cut off that second part of people coming in.
Right.
So he came and made some adjustments, and I think we were both watching each other because, I explained a little bit about my background and that, I've been involved in, bar, liquor, sports and, for a number of years. So I knew exactly how to make an adjustment with the security measures. And moving further up to the door, it gave a bigger presence that this was something official, that you just couldn't just walk in here and just, do whatever you wanted. You know what I mean? You got to pause. And that's all it is. It was a pause. Somebody paused you and they saw somebody in a position to say, hey, how you doing? How you doing tonight? How you doing? That's all it was. It wasn't anything on a, grit you down and look you up and down for your sneakers or whatever. It was just on a, hey, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for coming out. They were greeted. And I think that this generation, that the demographic that showed up, they like that. They like that somebody was pleasant to them, that somebody wasn't just, give me your money, walk in the door. So they got that, and then they got it at the table with the ladies. For the most part, I'm going to say 90% of the people that were coming here knew the purpose of what they were coming here for.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
My man was like, it was 10-1 in that.
Yeah,
joint.
bro. It was 10-1, man.
And that's the thing. You feel me? DJ Darrell is an excellent DJ.
He absolutely.
He had a vision.
Absolutely.
Let's say 5 years ago when he started it.
Right.
Probably 2019 when he really started it, because 2020 came up and he couldn't do it, and then 2021. But he hasn't done it since 2023. So when I called him, I was like, yo, I got your back. Like, what we doing?
Right.
He's like, what? I said, come talk to me. I said, here, look. We're going to put this on that. We putting this on black.
Right.
I ain't got no problem. And when it come back, if we just make the door, we going to do it again.
Right.
Now I'm like, what I saw, the amount of people that were intrigued by the action, the amount of people that liked what happened, I'm like, oh, yeah, we out of here.
Yeah.
You feel me? Because not saying we're leaving Chester, just saying, like, we're going places.
No, and here's the thing. The product was filmed. The product was streamed. And it was assessed. You know what I mean? It was assessed not just by the staff and the intermediate staff and the security guys that kept coming back, like, damn, you had the boss walk through there. Not once, but twice. At strategic times. And me being a part of that type of culture, I knew exactly what he was looking at, especially with his executive assistant that was with him. And she was more impressed. I mean, she was just as impressed. She said to me, they didn't expect it to be like this.
Right. Yeah, because they bought trash cans in late. You feel me?
Yeah, they didn't.
I was in there mopping the floor. I was out there. Listen, like I told DJ Darrell, all I want you to worry about is the stage and the crowd. I don't want. He jumped down when we had a little skirmish. You feel me? We got the young lady out. That was a situation.
You mean the one in the leather pants with the black hair flowing back? Blah, blah, blah.
I don't remember what she had on.
I remember what she had on because she came
so fast.
Yeah.
And they told me, I think somebody said she pregnant, and I put her down. I said, "You pregnant?" She was like, "Nah, I just had a baby." So I was just like, "Come on, let's just walk. I need you to breathe." You feel me? I saw what happened. You feel me? And I was like, "Yeah, but that's what's gonna happen." You feel me? You're going to have women that are, you feel me? They get a couple drinks in them. Nah, not catty. Like, she was defending her property. That was her dude. Chick was dancing on.
Oh.
So, situation, you know what I mean? So, of course, like.
Dude should have handled himself appropriately.
It's hard.
No, it's not.
It is.
Stop.
It is. What does it say in the Bible? If it says,
bro, did you come with the sand to the beach?
The flesh is weak.
Did you come with the sand to the beach?
Even though he did,
okay,
the flesh is still weak because we've seen it. This ain't the first time you ever seen a situation like that happen, Rich. So
no, it's not. I know. So, I've never seen it, but it's never happened to me.
Well, we're different. I'm not taking sand to the beach.
Right.
You feel me? And if I do take sand to the beach, we're going to have a discussion before we get there. Like you're not my sand. You feel me? Like, you're not my sand, but, like, just be careful, and I'll see you at the end. If we do, and if we don't, you feel me? We go about our separate ways. We'll link up again.
Right.
I'm okay with that.
Right.
I don't have a problem with that.
And see, this why we got to talk about these. This is why we got to talk about these generations. I'm a swing into that. But no, it was a good look at the dinner. And again, whenever you're doing this, bro, I want to say this to you. My expertise goes way beyond security. Okay, so if you need to do something like this and go live at the same time and have somebody who can coordinate different things together and bring people together in a fashion where you can concentrate on a center, so say 30 minutes, and then go to the next one, and that that somebody's going to just have your back and follow your lead.
That's why you're here, Rich.
That's what I do. It's what I do.
You tell me that's why you standing next to me.
Yeah, that's what I do.
If I step into that realm,
let's go.
You're coming with me.
Yeah, of course. Let's go.
I'm not asking you.
Oh, no.
I'm saying this is where we going.
Let's
we
go.
Over here.
Right. Let's go.
So yeah, we gotta have a meeting, a group meeting. Talk about all the goods, the bads. You feel me? And the things that we want to.
I'm gonna tell you like this: with any meeting after this, you start with everything that happened wrong. Everything that happened wrong. Get all of that wrongness out of the way. Get that on the table first. Right. See, a lot of people want to talk about, hey, we made money, we did it. No. Thank you.
Right.
Let's talk about how we need to improve the product. Right. Let's talk about how we need to improve or enhance the staff. Absolutely. Let's put down the necessary protocols in place of who does what and the functionality of those protocols. You know what I mean? I would even get it as far since it's, you know what I mean? Like I said, this is another person's dream, but I really love helping visions. Right. You know what I mean? Let's get it all on some paper and and when you turn it into a corporation, you already have it set.
So that will be a part of the conversation that we have. You feel me?
Because I liked it. And that's something I know that's going to work.
I've seen it work. I've seen him do what he does. And I've seen him do it in a very small space and have... We were in the space where the floor, the floor in there was shaking a little bit. You feel me? But I mean, it was like rubber. It was like, yo, we allowed this many people upstairs. You feel me? Because it was like that. If this give out, we gonna fall on people downstairs. So it was like I saw it and I was like, yo, we gotta get the Harris.
Yeah,
we gotta do that. And he was like, why we got, because that's the next step. That's the trampoline that you need to get to the next level. Because you do Harris, then guess what? You can go to Philly and do the Fillmore.
Oh, you can go over. Or you can go over in Jersey and St. Vincent and do the Marion.
Wherever we can do it, but we don't want to travel too far. But we don't have a problem with traveling if we got to travel.
No, listen, it's not even about traveling far. It's about the fact that you already have a product that sells, okay? And you have an open market that is on that type of megahertz and vibe. Right. And that's what I saw, is that people were on that vibe. In particular, two ladies that I know that they didn't have tickets. I know that they were just at the casino doing what they were doing. And the two ladies came in and they're like, they asked me, what is this? I said, hey, it's a R&B, club night, blah, 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 being sponsored here and everything. She was like, oh, well, how much is it? Because they didn't say, do you need tickets? They said, how much? I said, it's $40 a piece. So they was like, oh, I said, and it's just strictly R&B, so you're not going to get no drill music, anything like that. And they both looked at each other and walked to the table and paid $40 a piece and came in.
Right. And he played he played some gospel. He played the songs
but I'm saying
that we used to play on the radio station.
Yeah, right. He played the music for the dynamic and the age group without having the trouble of the other type of dynamic and age group that just want to hear that.
And this is what I'm saying. It's nothing.
Listen, nothing against your age group, if that's what you enjoy. Some people are just growing up. That's why I was a grown and sexy affair. That's why I was for grown folks, because we're grown. So nothing against you. Please don't get offended. Right. You know what I mean? It's what we do now. We're living according to the standards of our megahertz. You know what I mean? Some of our stuff is from 45 records. You know what I'm saying? Right. But no, I mean that everything with both of those segments for that day, it gave me something to do all day long. I really enjoyed myself because, again, I don't get out like that. I don't get out. Shout out to the sisters, the Delva sisters, for showing up and recognizing me and saying, hey, back to you guys too. Love your segments. Absolutely was great seeing them in the building, enjoying themselves, and hearing the story of how they got there. Just to come out and support, you know what I mean? I wanted to absolutely shout them out for being there that Saturday. It was really great seeing the sisters out and watching their segment in their program too. So make sure you tune in to theirs as well. But again, tonight's segment is all about Generations of the Rejected. Now, why would I choose a title, Generations of the Rejected? I firmly believe that each one of our generations, how you label them, boomers, millennials, Gen X, Gen Z, is experiencing certain traumas where they're made to feel unimportant, or that their value doesn't matter because you're either older or you come from a different, say, background than somebody else. You could be former military, you could be a corporate exec, or you could be a janitor or something. And people really don't see the value in you based upon their environment, based upon their time in whatever job market that they were in, whatever their family life was like, and the rules to their values of what they believe people should be. Because everyone has an opinion that people should believe the way that they do, some people rather. And it causes another group of people to feel as though that they don't matter. So again, for Men's Mental Health Mondays, I always start everything off and kind of jump the gun once again. But it's, like I said, it was an exciting weekend for me, so I just wanted to segue in there with my brother real quick. And let's get back to the start at the beginning. And I'll start off with prayer. So Dear Lord, I thank you again for this day, and I thank you for the fellowship of my brothers, and thank you for the fellowship of the people that I've met this amazing weekend and having a really good time. Thank you for the blessings that you bestowed upon me and the blessings that you bestowed upon your people, the fellowship the way that they did, in honesty and truth and the spirit of togetherness. Just so thankful to your name, Lord, for all of the things that you have done for us and provided for us so that way we can have these type of dialogues and be at peace with one another in these turbulent times. I ask that you bless those who need blessing, heal those that need healing, and give faith to the faithless as we traverse this planet in these ways and days amongst the men and women who we have to contend with, not only just in flesh and blood, but also in spirits with the principalities and the powers that are been invested to them. All these things I ask in your name. Amen. Tonight's scripture reading, I'm going to stay in the book of Proverbs. I feel as though that is very important. I've been reading through the book of Proverbs a lot lately in my studies, and it's been speaking to me about discipline a lot. Discipline. So Proverbs 23 in its entirety. When thou sittest to eat with a ruler, consider diligently what is before thee. And put a knife to thy throat, if thou be a man given to appetite. Be not desirous of his dainties, for they are deceitful meat. Labor not be to rich, cease from thine own wisdom. Wilt thou set thine eyes upon which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings, and they fly away as an eagle towards heaven. Eat thou not the bread of him that have an evil eye, neither desire thou his dainty meats. For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Eat and drink, saith he to thee, but his heart is not with thee. The morsel that thou hast eaten shalt thou vomit up, and lose thy sweet words. Speak not in the ears of a fool, for he will despise the wisdom of thy words. Remove not the old landmark, and enter not into the fields of the fatherless. For thy Redeemer is mighty, he shall plead their cause with thee. Apply thine heart into instruction, and thine ears to the word of knowledge. Withhold not correction from the child. For if thou beatest him with the rod, he shall not die. Thou shalt beat him with the rod, and shalt deliver his soul from hell. My son, if thine heart be wise, my heart shall rejoice, even mine. Yea, my reins shall rejoice when thy lips speak right things. Let not thine heart envy sinners, but be thou in the fear of the Lord all the day long. For surely there is an end, and thine expectation shall not be cut off. Hear thou, my son, and be wise, and guide thine heart in the way. Be not with winebibbers. Be not among winebibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh. For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe the man with rags. Hearken unto thy father that begat thee, and despise not thy mother when she is old. Buy the truth and sell it not. Let me say it again. Buy the truth, B-U-Y, buy the truth and sell it not. Also wisdom, also instruction, and understanding. The father of the righteous shall greatly rejoice, and he that begetteth a wise child shall have joy of him. Thy father and thy mother shall be glad, and she that bare thee shall rejoice. My son, give me thine heart, and let thine eyes observe my ways. For a whore is a deep ditch, and a strange woman is a narrow pit. She also lieth in wait as for a prey, and increaseth the transgressors among men. Who hath woe? Who hath sorrow? Who hath contentions? Who hath babbling? Who hath wounds without a cause? Who hath redness of eyes? They that tarry long at the wine, they that go to seek the mixed wine. Look not down upon the wine when it is red, when it is given its color in the cup, when it is moveth itself aright. At the last it biteth like a serpent, and stingeth like an adder. Thine eyes shall behold strange women, and thy eye and thy heart shall utter perverse things. Yea, thou shalt be as he that lieth down in the midst of the sea, or as he that lieth upon the top of a mast. They have stricken me, thou shalt say, and I was not sick. They have beaten me, and I felt it not. When shall I awake? I will seek it yet again. Live a disciplined life. Again, like I said, Saturday night was a night that was a very great night, and it's like I said, it's something that I absolutely enjoyed. I did not drink that night or anything because I was on duty, but I really had a good time just from my observations or whatever. Proverbs has been teaching me about a disciplined life, how to look at things from a disciplined point of view, to see things a little bit more clearly than I've had in previous years of my life. So I just wanted to share that passage with folks, and you can go ahead and read that for yourself and discern it for yourself. I'm not here to interpret the word. I'm here to read it because we don't hear enough people, specifically black men, just reading the scriptures aloud, allowing God to hear our voices and speak to God in the way that we need to speak to God by reading his scriptures and praying with vigilance so that we can be a stronger people and a stronger nation and be one people under God. That's the way that I feel. Again, it's the wonderful world of Rich Blye on cmpradio.net. I'm not expecting people to follow my train of thought, but it's something that has kept me during these times, especially when today is absolutely Men's Mental Health Mondays. Every Monday here on cmpradio.net, we talk about the things that most people go through and or things that people have been through, the good, the bad, the indifferent, the uncomfortable conversations, things that we need to cut up. That's all here on our programs with all of our content creators. But my program specifically for those who just started following or those who continue to follow, my particular program follows a particular format. As a person that's been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress and compounded grief syndrome, there is a survivor's regret with me. And I'd speak about it publicly because it's time to erase the stigma of men, specifically black men, talking about things that are traumatic for them, allowing people to speak into existence the negativity of the trauma that we face, and to give this space during this time for any man to listen, find comfort in the words that might be relevant, that you can share a certain experience and maybe agree with it, or even have a counterpoint. That's the purpose of dialogue. And for me, that's the purpose of free speech. As you can see by Afro Man, when in his case, boy, oh boy, was that a circus. But all along the lines, the premise of free speech has been upheld here in America. And, you know, no matter what side of the aisle you stand on, as you can see, having freedom of speech is necessary, and anyone wishing to curtail that or put it in a different direction does not want you to learn. They don't want you to see counterpoint. They don't want you to understand that there might be a difference in opinion or that you could find agreeable topics to relate to. Which brings me to tonight's segment, generations of the rejected. Unfortunately, in this country, there are people who are accepted, and then there are people who are rejected. Now, I can go on, and I can talk about the military and military families. And I have a basis for speaking on that because I am the son of a Vietnam combat veteran. And I know firsthand the trauma that my father went through. I grew up with it. My father was not a deadbeat dad. He just had issues. My dad wasn't a deadbeat. He loved his children. He loved us. And he did his best in providing for us. It's just that he had his own personal trauma from his generation of being rejected as a former combat veteran in Vietnam. And these things are absolutely passed down. And you can say, oh, Rich, no, it's not. It's not really like that. Yes, it is. Because let's start with the boomers. The boomers who basically caught the best end of America. They were able to accumulate wealth. They had the success of conflict overseas, which helped them build this America into a superpower. There was a better flow and better concentration of accountability when it came to money and acquiring wealth and property. So a lot of the men and women that were born from that time absolutely became the cream of the crop. And basically that's where it started. Because we come to my generation, the Gen Xers. The Gen Xers who were born from 1965, I was born in 67, up until 1980. We were overlooked. We're kind of like the middle child of this generational rejection. As you can see on the news, the majority of people that you see lately passing away are in their 50s. Yes, it is. There was a young man who just passed away. He was 54 years old, somebody who's 51. There's a lot of my generation that are, it's horrible to think about because you're close to your mortality than youth and vigor, and you're still being rejected when you're watching people about that age die for whatever reason: health, loneliness, despair. There are a lot of folks in my generation that feel rejected and unloved, and this is why they have taken on the persona of those from the boomer age of being silent about it or lashing out in a way that they displace their anger, and it's for no reason, but it's so mean because of their own personal circumstances. So that generation before us that came from conflict kind of put us into a position of a conflict where we had to do it ourselves, the DIY generation. And we wanted to reject that. Our generation really wanted to have something different from that generation as well, but our music was pretty much the same during the 60s and early 70s. Our clothing style was the same during the 60s and the 70s. The way that we were educated was pretty much the same way that they educated our grandparents, our parents, right? I wouldn't say grandparents, but I would definitely say parents. So there was always in every generation a certain rejection of the previous generation and the norm. But with that rejection of the previous generation, the IQ scores always went up about 3% overall in the next generation after the boomers. This is a scientific fact. I'm not, just extrapolating this thing from out of nowhere. You can look it up. It's right there. But with Gen Xers, again, like I said, we're the forgotten middle child. We're caught in between the boomers and the millennials. If you notice where we're at as far as in the workplace, you see us working, but we're not the people who are in charge. We are the working, knowledgeable trainers in certain situations, but our demographic has seen very little towards promotions with companies that we are, because a lot of companies want to pursue the younger, leaner tiger, so to speak, the one that's going to be aggressive. So, they've been passed over for promotions. Gen Xers have been through two recessions. That 2008, I've spoken about that George Bush recession that was actually a depression. I went from making, at that time in 2008, I went from making $70,000 to delivering pizzas for Domino's. That's a true story. I was making $70K a year in 2008 when that recession hit and businesses closed up and the company that I worked for went out of business, and I had to compete to get jobs, and I had to deliver pizza. It's like, wow, I got to deliver pizza. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for giving me a job so I can feed my family. But it humbles you, and it makes you live within your means. Well, rather, it did for me. It made me figure out a way. Now, don't get me wrong. My house didn't like the fact that, man, Dad, we can't do this no more. No. We're in a recession. It's bad. My kids at the time didn't understand that. They understood the trips. They understood the good times. They understood, the goodies and the gifts and all the other stuff that, rightfully I provided for my children. But when you have to turn off when that faucet gets turned off for you, there also comes a point of rejection. People grow resentful, even up to your presence, because you can't be the same way that they needed you to be for them, what they would call consistently. But in this case, speaking about myself, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't quit my job. I didn't say I wanted to stop making $70K a year and be the Domino's pizza delivery guy in Upper Darby. No, I didn't say that. But that's the hand I was dealt. And unfortunately, the generation underneath us does a really good job of blaming and shaming. No, I'm being for real. Every time I've had certain conversations with folks, it's always, well, why didn't y'all do this? Well, why didn't you do that? And then, hold on, wait a minute. When we go to explain ourselves and explain what happened to us, you don't want to hear it. You find us to be long-winded. Or that's not what's happening now. Of course not, that's not what's happening now. We weathered that storm so it wouldn't happen to you again. We survived these storms so that way they wouldn't batter you around. That's what we had to become. We had to become those barricades and fight against every wind and every prevailing wind, every storm, every cyclone, every tornado. every earthquake that happened from that period so you could stand on firm foundational ground. But we're forgotten about, and we're blamed for the same miseducation that happened to the boomers and the generation before them. Even going back into the 1900s. Our generation, takes more blame than any other group with the exception of Gen Z. Gen Zers, born in 1997 to 2012, have the highest levels of no's in dating, in education, and employment. What do I mean by no? As in during that time when they came of age to come into the job market, it was no, no, no. And why was that? Why was it a rejection of that particular age group in 1997 to 2012? Well, there was a lack of discipline during those years. That was the ending of the crack era and a lot of get rich and die trying era that a lot of the kids were involved in. This was the era of tattooing for real and what I call the Allen Iverson effect. Shout out to Allen Iverson. It's not derogatory, but Allen Iverson put, body art on the map pretty much when he came to Philly with his tattoos, and everything that came from that culture was surrounded around him, and the kids emulated that. And don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. I love tattoos. But corporations didn't. At that time, corporations didn't know what to do with that heavy influx. So they just told these kids no. Educational standards during that time, these kids were told no. This was that time where you had a heavy recruitment of international students to come abroad. So the opportunities for enrollment were limited to children here in America because the universities during that time were going after international students. Not to say that the international students didn't need or benefit from the generosity of these universities, but we all know what the term African American did to our educational standard. It put us on a full blanket of anybody being African American. And that meant anybody. It didn't matter what country you came from. If you could check that box and they could look at your skin, you were in. But not necessarily here as a American African or a Black African American. Sorry to have to put it that way, but the stats speak for themselves because you see what we have. It's always the byproduct. The workforce challenges, 31% of corporations avoided hiring Gen Zs, and 30% were fired at least 1 month after they were hired. Let me raise my hand to that. I hired someone that was born during this time. And unfortunately, I had to fire someone that was born from this time. As a matter of fact, I think most of the times that I've had to fire someone, they were pretty much from that age group, being born around 1997 and 2012. And I really believe that this is because there was just a big social neglect of their development. That's just my opinion. Again, I'm just an observer. I've researched the facts of the matter, and things that I'm giving you are absolute facts. But again, talking about these rejections, they are generational. We did not take care of one another. And unfortunately, to this day, we're very superficial about it. And I mean that. We're very superficial about how we feel about our elderly. We're very superficial about how we treat our military family, veterans, the wives of veterans, their children. Because for many people who are the family members of military veterans, we get pushed to the side too. Or we have to shield and protect our loved one because they cannot wholly function in a world full of civilians. I say that to say this because, again, I know how my father was rejected when he came back from his service. I know how he felt intense hostility as he walked up and down the street. Because when you come out post-service, especially during that time, you want people to feel proud about you. You want people to understand that, you were about something. But during that time and the politics and the environmental sentiment surrounding, this particular war and other veterans during, the Korea campaigns and the World War II, misdirected their sentiments onto these soldiers personally, instead of at the government that put them in this situation where it was a lose-lose situation. The country lost the war and lost its people. And we had a lot of men and women who came back battered and bruised. And this is the importance and the significance of why I'm talking about generational rejection, because we have a big day coming up this Sunday, which is not only just Palm Sunday for those who celebrate, but it's also Vietnam Veterans Day. And if you know someone who is a Vietnam veteran, or you have family who are Vietnam veterans, and you have a neighbor that's a Vietnam veteran, specifically, we're asking you to give a special thanks for their service. And I'm not trying to tell you to blow it all up and make it cheesy. Just make sure that you understand that the man or woman that you're talking to that served during that time, they really need to hear that. And be sincere with it, for real. I want people to understand something. I don't play around with the veteran community. I don't pretend to be a soldier. I always start off and I give my name and I let people know my status. I did not serve. I don't pretend at being a soldier. I don't pretend at ever serving. I would never disrespect any person in the military nor myself. I want to make that very perfectly clear. And the men and women that I happen to love specifically are definitely from that time, because when I hear the stories of the lives that these men and women are now talking about, that are now facing, microphones with courage and being in rooms where they're talking about what was done wrong to them and how it made them feel, I'm sitting there very quiet and I'm listening and I'm absorbing every bit of it, because my father was one of those people that was rejected, that was made to feel unwanted, that was made to feel he was unimportant for his service. So this weekend, this Sunday, when you're in church, or those who are Muslim at your masjid, or wherever you are, and you know of a veteran who served in Vietnam, please make sure you say a special thank you to them this weekend. Please make sure that pastors that you included in your church sermons. Yes, you should. I don't want to hear this argument of our church and state because y'all have mixed church and state so much that you can do it. I don't want to hear that crap that you can't. Yes, you can. Be the change and show these men and women that this year that it absolutely means something for the service that they provided. And the reason why I say that you start that now, because it's going to make it easier for those that are coming back from this Iranian war that we're in. It's going to help you to understand why these flag draped coffins happen. Flag draped caskets, please. I'm sorry. Flag draped caskets. You're going to understand when folks come back and their limbs are missing. You're going to understand when they come back and they're in a deep depression and you don't understand why. You need context now, prior to getting to a point where it may be you that needs to lean on for support because a loved one has been taken from you and you're handed a folded flag. We need to stop with the excuses as to why we're rejecting each other based upon generational curses. It's destroying each and every one of us. I love the generation before me. I love these 1950 and 1960s folks that are still, up and kicking and doing great things. They have wonderful tales about their lives and wonderful experiences that I listen to. There's no insignificance to any conversation that I have when it comes to wisdom from the elders. No matter the color of the shade. Don't get me on colors and shades, please don't. Wisdom doesn't have a color. Wisdom doesn't have a shade. Neither does knowledge. It doesn't have a color. And that's the vibe I'm on. That's the vibe I'm always going to be on. Yes, indeed, I am a proud Black American. I am a proud foundational Black American. Next. That's what you see on the outside. Next. What else am I? I'm a child of God. Next. I love the Lord with all my heart. Next. I believe that Christ died on the cross for my sins. Next. I'm a flawed human being. Next. That's where we need to be. We need to understand ourselves so we can understand others, so we can stop rejecting people based upon superficial things that aren't going to matter 10, 15, 20 years from now. If I'm here in 2030, thank God, I'll be 63 years old. In 2030. I'm blessed because when I was 27, I wasn't supposed to be here. I should have been taken out of here. And that was by my own design, being stupid, rejecting wisdom, not listening to my grandfather, not paying heed to the people that were telling me, hey, stop doing this, stop doing that. No, I got to get out here. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do this. I got to do that. Slow down. No. I've rejected at one point in time, I've rejected wisdom. I rejected knowledge. I rejected those that wanted to tell me how to have a better life. And I'm saying this to the generations underneath us. I don't care if you're 10 years younger than me. I don't care if you're 15 years younger than me. I have 15 more years worth of experience that I could impart to you that could probably help you. You do have a college degree. You do have this, but you don't have the invaluable and an indelible experience that I have, that in certain situations, that's what gets you through, because I see a lot of you crumble at some of the smallest of things. And I mean crumble. There are decisions that I've had to make that I've seen grown men cry instead of stepping off of the situation, looking at it from a distance, looking at it from an angle, get down on the floor, see underneath it, see over top of it, bend it over sideways, whatever it needs to do, and then make a solution from it practically without losing your temper. Without just giving up and saying, oh, it can't be fixed. We have to have this come togetherness to stop rejecting each generation as they come across. We need to be bridges for these generations, which I feel as though that I do very well with the generations before me because, like I said, I love my elderly. I love talking to them. I can sit around and listen to stories from the elderly all day long. I really can. My seniors, I love them. I love them. But then when I want to translate to the next generation, what I'm tired of personally is being rejected with the, man, y'all ain't do nothing. Y'all didn't do enough. Excuse me? We didn't do enough. So not only did we survive 2 recessions, one, during the time of our teenage years, and then another one, because again, ain't none of y'all had to stand in line for no cheese. And then another one when we got older. Not only did we withstand that, once again, crack era. Once again, mass incarceration. Once again, murder. And once again, the AIDS epidemic. That is 4 pandemics in our timeline crafted to take our generation out of here. There's 193-page report on it. They'll go download it. Of what the federal government wanted to do in order to keep us separate during my age group time limit, the Gen Xers. Because we were in the closest proximity to the greatness of the civil rights movement and we were birthed out of it. We were the ones that got say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. We were the ones that got ingenuitive and we were the ones that went camping and we were the ones that went and baited hooks on with worms on hooks and we were the ones that caught fish and learned how to be self-sufficient. We're the ones. We were supposed to be the first generation of true alphas to make the next generation of true alphas, and therefore and so forth. It was our generation that came birthed from the atomic bomb. We are the children of the atom. If you got an old head, if you got a Mom Dukes that's from that generation and they not trying to be like the generation underneath them or whatever, and they're giving you wisdom, sit down, listen to them. Take heed. 2 words, take heed. That means pause and listen. I know it's hard to do because your topics are so boring. They don't do this, they don't do that. I'm glad that you can think that way now. But the topics that I have and the conversations that I have with folks, they're not for right now. They're for later. Just like I was forewarned, just like I was pre-instructed, just like someone was there to make sure that I didn't fall a certain way or feel that rejection. This is what we're here for now too. And we have to stop playing these games with every generation that you don't have the value. But I want to say this to the generation that is above us. You guys got to stop being stubborn. You do. And this is not a chastisement. This is how our generation feels. You guys are stubborn. You're so resistant to how we can all change together and all come together. You're stubborn. And like I said, it's not a chastisement, it's an observation. There's some real cool boomers out there. Some real ones. I mean, like some real ones. But I guarantee you, the old stick in the muds, the ones that wanted the way that it used to be, and how we need to go back to the way that we can't go backwards. For my generation, Gen Xers, have more patience. Have clearer, concise conversations, and if the emotional value gets to be too much, step off of it. Because an emotional, irrational person is not listening to you anyway. The only thing they hear is the sound of their voice. When their pitch goes up, their octave goes up, and you hear that sound come out, just stop. Let them say what they have to say goodbye, walk out. Because there's no getting through to them. This is who they are. I was always told when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Believe them. If you're not compassionate, if this person's not helpful, if this person is not has empathy, not everybody can give, but people can pray. If you don't have those type of strengths in your corner, or if you don't have those type of strengths and values inside of you, then you're not worth it to someone else. Our generation can be better. Our generation can do better. We're going to be the ones that are standing. But again, my generation is dying at a faster rate, and it's been dying at a faster rate since COVID. And I really feel as though that bridge is going to be severed somewhere in the near future if the children underneath us, and I'm not calling you children, generation underneath us, Gen Z. I'm not calling you children, but we're the punching bags. We're the punching bags because you think that we're cynical or that we're complicit with the systematic problems that came from the 60s. No, we were fooled just like anybody else. We're tired of being rejected. As if the history that we're giving you is so damn boring, but then you're asking questions that matter and you're trying to figure out which way to go with it. Well, you got to do what my grandparents and my mom did for us. When we were around our elders and my great-grandfather, John Wesley Brown, wanted to speak, we were made to sit at the feet of our elders. When you have those picnics and those barbecues and your great-grandmom is out there, blah, 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 the party should stop. Everybody should bring great-grandma out to the shade of the tree and let her tell a story of her childhood so that way the kids can hear it. Instead of partying around great-grandma. And great-grandma, you want something to eat? You want something to drink, great-grandma? Y'all need to stop the party for like about 10, 15 minutes and let your elders speak when you have your children around. Let them impart some wisdom of their life and make them kids sit the heck down and listen to them. Because I can tell you in my family and a lot of other families, that's what definitely happened. And no, I was a kid. I didn't like it as a kid, but I can still close my eyes and I can still see my great-grandfather, and I can still remember the time, and I can still remember what he did, and I can still remember what he said, and because of what he said rings true to today, some of the things that he said, I avoided. That's the benefit of it. You as the parent may not be able to get through your kid, but if your grandparent, if your parent, the grandfather, the grandmother can get through the kid, then you got to make sure that 1% happens so that way you don't face that constant rejection of your children rejecting you because they have a resentment, because they're growing through a stage, teenage, puberty, whatever, you know what I mean? All that hormonal process that they're going, pheromone process that they're going through. We have to remind ourselves to stay connected, folks, and not reject one another based upon your experience. I know you had a tough life. Me too. I know you also had some good times too. But you can't keep walking around here angry And I'm going to be the first one to tell you what that anger feels like. Oh, it feels terrible. It feels horrible. It feels trashy. It feels like sugar honey iced tea. Having that anger welled up inside of you kills you slowly. It's a self-induced poison. Don't be quick to be angry. Don't be quick to wrath. Find a way to make peace with yourself so that way you can be peaceful with others. We good? All right. Now, before I end my segment, there's a couple things that I want to talk about real quick. One is that there is a day of support, answers, and guidance. You are not alone. We are here for you. The Department of Veterans Affairs, the Philadelphia and Wilmington regional offices cordially invite survivors, caregivers, and veterans to attend the VA Solace Day. That's the Survivors Outreach, Legacy Assistance, Claims, and Education Day. It'll be in Philadelphia at 5000 Wissahickon Avenue. It'll be Tuesday, April 14th at 2026. Registration starts at 8:30 a.m. The event is from 9 to 1. Come for information, stay for support, leave with clarity and peace of mind. There's going to be on-site services, representatives from Pension Center Survivor Benefits, VA Medical Centers, Philadelphia and Wilmington, the Office of Survivors Assistance, the National Cemetery Association, Veterans Readiness and Employment Service Officers, VA Insurance, Caregiver Support, Suicide Prevention, Enrollment and Eligibility, Whole Health, Nutrition Services, Homeless Programs, and Vocational Rehabilitation. Again, the date for this is Tuesday, April the 14th, 2026. Registration starts at 8:30 a.m. The event goes from 9 a.m. If you are a survivor wondering what comes next, a caregiver seeking support and benefits, or a veteran needing help with claims, this event is for you. Learn what happens when a loved one passes, discover caregiver resources and assistance, get help in filing claims, including PAC Act related claims, speak directly with VA experts, no guesswork, no runaround. That means that the people who you need to talk to, veterans, survivors of those who have served, and their families. If you need a day, Tuesday, April 14th is your day. But if you have questions or you need more information, you can email at vbaphipoa@va.gov. Once again, if you have questions or need more information, you can email at vbaphipoa@va.gov. So again, mark that on your calendar. It's going to be at the Philadelphia RO at 5000 at the Philadelphia Regional Office, 5000 Wissahickon Avenue in Philadelphia, 19144. The February edition of Survivors Benefits and Services has come out for veterans and their families, specifically spouses, children of veterans. The National Cemetery Administration gives information about eligibility, burial in VA national cemeteries, headstones and markers, in memory markers, burial flags, military funeral honors and allowances, veterans benefits information, financial benefits for surviving spouses and dependents, life insurance and death gratuity, Veterans Health Administration for survivors, healthcare benefits for survivors, civilian health and medical program, bereavement counseling. the VA is absolutely stepping up some of the programs that they have, and they are releasing more information for our veterans who have been neglected to a certain degree, a certain point, some in it totally and some not as much, but needing the necessary help that they need. There are services available for the wives and the children of your dearly departed. I suggest that you follow up with this information, and to let you also know that there is a guide. There is a guide, and this is the June 2025 version of the Veteran Apartment Affairs on what your benefits are, your eligibility, your disability rating, your journey, how the VA can support you throughout your life, your checklist. And the reason why I bring these things up is that there are folks that have had success in dealing with the VA, and there's some folks that have not had a very good experience with the VA. I have heard horror stories from folks that have gone to the VA, and I've also heard success stories. The most important thing that you can do, and I heard this from a veteran this past Saturday, is that when your loved one is going to the VA, don't let them go alone. Because sometimes, and this is an honest assessment, because I happened the other day, and I don't want to hear anybody from the VA telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about. There are times where my father got excellent, great care, and there are times where basically they look like they wanted to spit on him. There have been those times. And I've always been my father's advocate before he passed away. I made sure to go with him on his visits when he had to go, or any treatments that he had to do in rehab in his later years of his life. I was there for that. And I see how people have rejected and treated our veterans, which is why I'm such an advocate, the way that I do it, the way that I feel about it, and the support that I give to all veterans. Because I've seen it. I've heard it. I've watched it. Not just with my father, but other veterans. Don't let your loved one go to the VA by themselves. And if somebody disrespects the honor and the integrity of your loved one, please politely ask that person to refrain from treating that soldier in that fashion, because that person wouldn't have a job. There is an advocacy office that you can go and you can talk to someone about how your loved one is being treated at the VA. Your loved one may need help with the paperwork. Some of you gals are in nursing, so you know the protocols. Help your family member, please. Give them the love that they deserve, because they need a lot of it. Because there's a lot of angry vets out here, and I know that for a fact. There's a lot of angry vets out here, and it is absolutely justifiable. But we can't allow them to go to the grave like that. We have to reach out to these vets, especially this weekend for Vietnam Veterans Day, especially this weekend, and select these vets in particular and show them a whole bunch of love. At my Upper Darby American Legion this Saturday, starting at 9 a.m. until 1 o'clock, we're going to have a breakfast brunch for veterans and their families or friends or anybody that wants to stop in. We're going to have a nice spread, eggs and sausage and ham and all sorts of assorted rolls and spaghetti and chicken cutlets. All made fresh, all prepared fresh. Roasted red bliss potatoes, fresh. I know, I'm doing the prep. Well, some of the prep. I'm doing some of the prep. Shout out to Lisa Kelly. Our American Legion at 6914 Chestnut Street in Upper Darby will open up its doors for all veterans all across Delco. So if you feel like coming down for breakfast and you got nothing to do, come on down. Come on down. I have cranberry juice, orange juice, coffee, tea, water, soda, all free for all veterans. All free for all veterans. All free. Anyone else that's not a veteran, $10. Support your American Legion. Our Cash App, money sign, post 214. If you can't make it, we'll gladly accept the donations and put it towards the next event, which will probably be Memorial Day, where we'll be taking care of veterans again. All proceeds for our American Legion are tax deductible. You can absolutely do that, and we will absolutely greatly appreciate anything. Like I said, $1 is $1, but a five turns into a 10, and $10 turns into something amazing. If you have a local American Legion and it's thriving, good for you guys, great for you guys. Thank you for your service, guys and gals. But support your American Legions, especially in this time where being an American is under siege. We represent for the honor and the integrity of our communities. We represent for the history of it. We are the torchbearers. We are the placeholders for our republic. We hold down the history. We keep the flames lit. Not saying that you don't have it in your household, but in order for us to keep the spirit of our Americanism alive, there has to be a fixture in every part of Delco that designates that. We cannot lose our identities based upon separations because we're rejecting one another based upon historical or environmental times of discord. If you are a millennial, you are still an American millennial. If you are Gen X, you are still an American Gen X. If your birth certificate is here in this country, you are American. You don't have to admit to it, but go some other place, and when they check your ID and they say, where are you from? They're going to say, oh, you're an American. They're not going to play that breakdown with you about, how you identify. Nobody wants to do that anymore. Nobody wants to play the land of make believe like it's Mr. Rogers. Nobody wants to do that anymore. Nobody wants to do that anymore. We want relevant, even in our fun, even in the way that we poke fun and stuff like that. It's relevant fun. It's not make believe. We have to get away from that too. We have to get away from the make believe. We have to get away from exposing our children to content that they're not prepared for. That's part of the separation too. That's part of the rejection too. Allowing your children to reject wisdom and common sense. Allowing them to define who they are for themselves without the basis of any experience. No child can define themselves if they have nothing as a basis to say, this is who I am, just because you feel a certain way. That is a rejection of your own humanity. And we have to stop living that way, believing that once we reject a particular part of ourselves, that everybody else is supposed to fall in suit and be agreeable with you. That's not the way it works, folks. And I think that this oversaturation of that type of ideology is what's giving everybody pause, because they see the rapid expansion, and in this rapid expansion, it has not produced favorable results. That is the logic behind it. I don't need to give it a name. You go ahead and put the name and or letters or whatever else you want to put to it. But as a model, it is not sustainable. It is only maintained, and it's a small percentage. It has not grown exponentially over the years. If anything, there has been shifts and rifts within certain policies when it comes to that type of life dynamic. But once again, that's based upon the value. And these are not opinions, folks. You're living these lives. And in these generational rejection states, we are not coming together so we can understand each other, so we can have meaningful dialogue, not like how it was this weekend. This weekend, I saw different people from different backgrounds, from different ages, from different age sectors, from different parts, from different walks of life, from different types of, avenues, talking together, collaborating with one another, sharing great entrepreneurial experiences on the stage, getting to know these people a little bit better and why they got into what they got into, and applauding their youth for doing so, because they're youthful and they're doing their job. These are the people that I want to gravitate to. These are the people that I want to try to, my best to understand and see from their perspective. But it's always give and take, folks. It's not where you can just say, hey, I'm just going to take what you got from me, old head, and, you got to give something back. If you want your elderly, your seniors to stay lively, you have to help keep them relevant. You cannot let them just slink off to the shadows and think that they're supposed to put their feet up. And, if that's what they choose to do, that's one thing, that's fine. But there are a lot of people that are my age that are thriving, and they want to remain relevant, and they don't want to be rejected. Everyone has something to value. If someone comes to your event, if someone is following you, if someone gets invited to your event and they show up, that means that that person has already made a vested interest in you. They believe in what you say. They believe in the message that you brought. Now all you just had to do is just cultivate the relationship. Now all you have to do is just make sure that you stay relevant and true to why the people are following you or buying your brand. Don't switch up. You created fans. You created people who want to buy from you. Don't stop thinking that way. Always remember that today is the first day of the rest of your life, and the person that you meet today is your first contact, and your first contact is where you always put your best foot forward. Stop putting out these thoughts of rejection because someone is older or someone is younger. I'm learning more and more by watching some of our younger people do some great things that I wasn't able to do in my lifetime, and I applaud it. I'm happy for them. When I saw all of those entrepreneurs that were on stage on Saturday talking about hair care products and talking about the giveaways and talking about, dual tacos and what that young man talked about, I'm absolutely proud to hear young black entrepreneurs here in Chester talk about their success and why. And why they had to do it. It's important for you to see them in the light that they presented themselves. They're not being prideful. They're not being boastful. They're being confident. They're astute. They have great business acumen. They know what they're doing with the product that they have, doing it their way and giving you the best of them. These are the things that you build. How you build a business, help build a business in your community. This is how the business works with the community works with the business. That's the strength of us, Chester. work with these businesses that are providing stuff, resources, time back into these communities. It's not always about the public official. If the public official is doing their job, great. But these businesses are the backbone of your black community. You've already given enough to the Asians. You've already given enough to the Greek. You've already given enough to this demographic. I'm not saying don't support them. You can still take your money where you want to. Absolutely you can. Absolutely you can. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that on Saturday, I saw some young black people that are absolutely dynamic in what they do. And I've had their products, not the hair product, I'm sorry. I'll talk to my daughters about that. But I still looked for it on the shelf, as a matter of fact, though, when I went into the store, because because I'm now intrigued, I'm now interested, I'm now delighted to hear and see these people and meet them for the first time on Saturday, and I see that they're about their business and they're doing it. We have to nurture these contexts instead of rejecting ourselves away from these folks. Embrace them. Let's learn a lesson from that Vietnam era where we rejected people from that time because they didn't fit a certain narrative. Let's learn to embrace one another. Let's learn to embrace the youth. Let's get that strength together. Let's give them the wisdom and the knowledge that they need before these venomous snakes come in and try to spoil them and spurn their heart and make them feel as though that they're not worth it. We have to do the job. We cannot expect our oppressors to teach these lessons. It's up to us. It's up to us alone. See you on the flip side.